One thing that I think everybody recognizes the Charger for is the Dukes of Hazzard. It was on everybody's TV every week. The television show really became, an icon of the era, and that helped set the stage for what the Charger became to people.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
The reason this Charger, this '69 Charger, was probably the best, I mean, whether it was a gift to us or what, but it has torsion bars. We could raise, set the front end up on it. The motors, the 383s and the 440s that we use in there, they just perform flawless.
At one time, the Camaro was actually considered for just a little bit because of the availability. They were very easy to acquire. They thought they could get them in big numbers. Fortunately for all the Mopar fans, that was decided against again because it had never raced in NASCAR. It had never actually been used as a NASCAR vehicle.
That Camaro would have made my life miserable.
I imagine with those springs and no leaf springs, no torsion bars,
that's right.
All spring loaded.
This Charger, they couldn't have picked a better car. But as far as the Camaro, boy, I'd have been in serious trouble.
Made the first jump and you just saw the springs go past the fenders.
That's why we would have needed a lot of Camaros to do this.
Well, they could have possibly chosen a Ford Torino, but they would have had the same problem with the springs. The other manufacturers basically operated off of a spring suspension system, and only Mopars were torsion barred with leaf springs, which had pinion snubbers on the rear end, which allows the rear end to really get the grip. Everything else worked off of really a floating rear suspension. So even though there were other cars that might have had the visual appeal, they didn't have the structural integrity to do the job like a Mopar would have done the job.
Yeah, and with that torsion bar suspension, what we did, we found out a little bit later on in the show, the car was actually hitting the ramp and scrubbing off a lot of speed. But what we ended up doing is locking the whole front end, just jack those torsion bars all the way up. And it was stout. And what it is, it gave us another 5-10 miles an hour on the ramp. We didn't have all the splinters flying. And I'll tell you, it really did work. And since it looked a little funny going down the road on the approach to the ramp, but once it was in the air, the wheels are hanging down, and it just gave you that 3 or 4 more inches of cushion when those front wheels dug into that ground.
The safety was there because the car never compressed as it would hit the ramps. And that's why you see a lot of the pictures, it has the appearance of being nose up, because now that's new news to me, which is neat knowledge.
Well, we give away some secrets. Not many.
Dodge is an old company. The Dodge brothers, Horace and John, started off supplying parts for the Model T Ford and other early Ford models. In fact, they built most of the early Model Ts from a mechanical standpoint for Henry Ford, and they started building cars in 1914. And really, from the beginning, Dodge touted itself as a value brand, and the watchword was dependability. But after World War II, after the pent-up demand for automobiles had been satisfied, there was a tremendous amount of excess capacity in the automobile industry. And the result was that the industry became extremely competitive. And what wouldn't sell was precisely the sort of cars that Dodge had been selling.
Well, in the mid-50s, Dodge was the more family-oriented version. You had your station wagons, your 4-doors. Yes, you had coupes. In 1956, they began putting the Hemi engine in some of the Dodges, and some of the 2-doors and the 4-doors. The first inklings that Dodge was going to go performance was in the mid-50s.
What was in was styling, horsepower, and sexiness.
They still had their station wagons and they still had their 4-door sedans, but they wanted the 18 to 24-year-old buyers to bring them in the showroom. So they built these flashy, fast cars. There was really a youth-oriented promotional programs directed at them.
The choices that you could get if you walked into your local dealership, your local Dodge dealership, were really dizzying. And of course the Charger, when it was offered, came with all sorts of different engine options, including of course the Hemi, which was really essentially a racing engine. Dodge got a lot of push at the drag strips. It appeared in NASCAR racing, and up until the 1960s, NASCAR racing had been something that none of the American domestic companies had been directly involved in. Now suddenly they were in it with both feet. And really the Charger came out of that whole determination to turn Dodge into a performance brand.
Well, a muscle car is a vehicle that the company, whatever company it is, has put high performance engine in, upgraded brakes, transmission, the rear axle, and typically give it a big, bold, meaty look. Something that you know when you see it, it's a fast car. When you drive it, you're sure it's a fast car. This is really the first Hemi Charger. This is the first Charger from 1966 that a Hemi was put in. This vehicle was then given to Al Ekstrand, who was a drag racer for many years, and he was also a corporate lawyer here at the company. That's why the name Lawman's on it. He was our lawman. This vehicle is the 69 1/2 Dodge Daytona. It's the vehicle that was built for NASCAR. This is what we did to reach the pinnacle of NASCAR. We put the radical nose cone on it, the wing in the back, and the giant 440 or Hemi engine in them. These vehicles, one of them was the first vehicle to break 200 miles an hour. Buddy Baker did that on a closed course. Bobby Isaac won the championship that year driving one of these, and then once he was done, he took it out to the Bonneville Salt Flats and set 27 speed records in 3 days. This car is absolutely stock production. They made about 500 of these vehicles. They put the nose cone on them and the wings, and they're available for sale in any dealership. The vehicle we have here is a 1971 Dodge Charger. This is the first year of the redesign on the Chargers, really the third generation. What's really neat about this particular car is it's what we call a survivor. It has never been restored, and it's still in original condition. The last year for the Hemi, you can tell with those big valve covers, big air cleaner, that you've got the Hemi sitting right in there. 68 to 70, that's what people think of when they think Charger. It's got the big aggressive look. It's the vehicle that was used in the Dukes of Hazzard. It was the vehicle that was used in Bullitt.
It's an interesting fact that when the producers of Bullitt decided to make a chase scene, that they picked two cars, the Mustang and the Charger, and they put Steve McQueen in the Mustang. And I assume the reason for that was that the Mustang had a little bit less of a bad boy appearance to it than the Charger did. But in any case, the stories that went about the filming of the chase scene are that the Charger considerably outperformed the Mustang in the chase scene, and they had to keep the Charger somewhat under wraps.
It's the classic Charger, and it was really the first time I was exposed as a child to the Charger and what it was. My dad told me which one I had to root for.
You kind of wondered what Steve McQueen thought about that, because McQueen, of course, was a very accomplished driver, and I believe he did his own driving in that scene. And you wonder whether at the end of the scenes he was saying, gee, maybe I should have been driving the Charger. I don't know.
One of the things that I learned when I was at Warner Brothers, and I was speaking to Skip Ward, and Skip was explaining, he was the director for a lot of the episodes of the Dukes of Hazzard, and Skip explained to me that they had to have dependability. And so what they did in order to, and during editing, they put the Warner Brothers soundtrack to the Bullitt movie on the General Lees. You hear a lot of the General Lees, you're actually hearing the soundtrack from Bullitt. And that's why a lot of people mistook the General Lee as having a 4-speed, because
right.
they would hear the shift, and the shift would make you think that the General Lee had a 4-speed.
A lot of my cars did have a 440, but probably only maybe 20–25%. Majority of the cars were the 335 horse, 383. Like you say, we did have the 318s in them also, and our ski car, the Buzz Bundy used to stand on two wheels, was a 318 car because it was just a lot lighter engine. And but nobody wanted to drive a 318. 318 two-barrel, no horsepower, you can't make that work.
I can throw a little. One of my things that I do is the number game. Now that's part of what you run a registry for. And the total production for 1969 Chargers was 89,199, of which they sold 84,306 in the United States. I'm gonna hit you with another quick number. There were 18,776 RTs sold in the United States. So when Tom talks about a small percentage of them actually coming with the 440, that's because they were low in the production number. Out of 89,199, only basically 18,000 440 cars. When you look today at the number of General Lees that have survived, I have registered a little over 2,000 1969 Chargers. There are about 200 that are General Lees. So 1 in every 200 surviving Dodge Chargers is now General Lee.
That goes back to the old thing,
amazing.
you know, if if
true.
this car wasn't painted orange, had a flag and an 01 on it, where would we be with the 69 Charger?
Why don't you and me take the fans for one more ride in the General Lee?
Well, we can do that, but
we'll pile in here and I'll do the yeehaw and you do the horn.
all right, we can find that.